Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel ACBA Designs. On this tutorials, I'm going to teach you how to make this beautiful shirt dress with a palazzo trousers. So let's get started. Great, so these are the materials I'll be needing for my tutorials. My 4 yards of satin fabric, that is 2 yards inch. My ruler, tape measure, pins, and then chalk. Okay, I'll first of all fold my fabric into two, not basically into two equal parts, but I'll fold it this way, and afterwards I'll fold in about 5 inches. That will serve as my facing, the front facing, where the bottoms will be. Okay, so the bust measurement for my client is bust 36 divided by 4 will give me 9 inches, plus 1 inch as my seam allowance, and then 1.5 as my ease. Okay, so as you can see me marking. Okay, so the shirt length is 25 plus 1 inch as seam allowance, making 26. So I will mark my shirt length 26 inches. Okay, so this is the 26 inches for this side, and then 26 inches at the other side as well. I'll then connect the 2 points with my ruler and then shape the neckline. I'll be using length and then width 3 inches for the neckline. Okay, so as you can see me marking 3 inches down, 3 inches wide. Okay, but first of all, you see it's a shirt dress. I will then mark about 1 inch for overlapping, where the zip is for overlapping. So I will then fold in the 1 inch like this. That will serve as overlapping where the bottoms will be. Okay, so I then marked out my shoulder line about 5 inches. I then sloped it down by 1 inch, and then I came down for the armhole 9 inches. I then curved and then cut out. Okay, so this is what I have after cutting out. I'll then shape the neckline to be straight. Okay, so this is it after overlapping in about 6.5, 6 inches, 5 inches as the facing, and then 1 inch as the overlapping. Okay, so 6 inches. I'll then divide it into two, or I'll cut out the back before dividing the front into two. Okay, so cutting out the back, I then divided the front neckline into two, that is 1.5, and then I cut out. Great, so this is what I have. I'll then divide the front into two like what I'm doing. Okay, so the next thing to do is to go ahead and then place the pieces together like this, making sure the right side faces each other. Go ahead and then sew the shoulder line together. So I'll first of all pin so that it doesn't shift, since I'm working with a silk material. So afterwards I'll take it to my machine to sew the shoulder line about half an inch at both sides. Great. At this point, the next thing to do is to cut out my sleeves. So the length of my sleeves is 22 inches plus 5 inch overlapping, making 27 inches. and the wideness is 13 inches. Okay, 13 inches. So I'll then slope the armhole area, cut out and cut the other side as well. Okay, so I added allowance to it. Afterwards, I'll go ahead and then create a notch at the center of the sleeves, and then create a casing at the middle of the sleeves. I will first of all mark about 7 inches from the hem of the sleeves upwards. Okay, so I'll finish the hem area by double folding about half an inch and then top stitching. So from the hem of the sleeves, I'll mark it upwards about 7 inches and then create a casing. So please, the casing I'll be creating, I will use a bias to create a casing on it and then leave the center open. Okay, so this is the front. I'm about to cut the collar for the neckline. What I'll be doing is to measure all around the neckline and then add about half an inch as my seam allowance on both sides and then cut out. Great, so this is my collar. Okay, so I then marked out and then added my allowance, and then the length or the wideness of the collar is 5 inches. I'll then go ahead and then sew the side and side about half an inch and then turn to the right side. This is what I have after turning to the right side. I'll then go ahead and then locate the center for the shirt and then locate the center for my collar. Afterwards, I'll attach the collar to the top. Okay. Okay, so I'll locate the center for the collar like this. Afterwards, I'll place the notch to notch together like this and then pin. When I get to where the facing is, I'll then notch the facing, the corner of the facing afterwards, like this. Afterwards, I'll take out the pin and then place it backwards onto the collar like this. Okay, but I'll make sure where I notched will be the corner. So when marking out, I didn't tell you this. When measuring the neckline, I then left about 1.5 or 1 inch away from where the facing starts from, or the overlapping area. Okay, so check out this. You will see what I'm talking about. Okay, so you can see when I folded the facing onto it, it was left with about 1 inch before we get to the very edge of the overlapping area. So I left about 1 inch to 1.5 inches before I started measuring the collar. So after pinning out, I'll go ahead and then sew half an inch. Okay, so this is what I have after sewing my collar. Great. The next thing to do is to go ahead and then work on the sleeves, but I'll first of all finish the hem area of the shirt by double folding and then top stitching. So this is the sleeves and then the casing I created on the right side of the sleeves. Okay, so I left the center of the casing open. I'll then go ahead and then make my long strips I measured the length the length of the casing, and then I made about 3 inches exceeding, or more than 3 inches exceeding, so that it doesn't get inside the casing. So as you can see, I am pulling in the strips I created. Okay, so I inserted my strips. Afterwards I'll pull. Okay, but first of all, secure the side and side with your pins before you pull, else the strips will come out. I'll go ahead and then sew about 1 inch downwards. So after sewing downwards, I'll then go ahead and then pleat at the armhole area to fit in the shirt armhole. Okay, so since the sleeves is bigger than the shirt armhole, I'll be pleating along to fit in the shirt perfectly. Great, so this is what I have after inserting in the sleeves. Okay, at this point our shirt is almost ready. I'll go ahead and then cut the trousers as well. Please, since it's going to be a high waist trousers, I'll then come down and mark about 2 inches, and then 2 inches at the other side as well. Okay, so from waist to crotch line, I marked out 11 inches. The hip measurement for my client is 42. Divided by 4 is 10.5, plus 2.5, 1 inch as seam allowance, and 1.5 as my crotch extension. So that will be 13 inches. So from shoulder to the crotch, I marked 11 inches. Okay, so the crotch extension 1.5, but I marked out 2 inches, and then I marked out 3 inches at the waist area. I don't want it to be straight like that of the crotch area. Then I marked out my crotch curve like this. Please don't curve the crotch area too curvy. Don't make it too curvy. You can just slant it a bit. The waist is 32 divided by 4 will give me 8 inches plus 1 inch as my seam allowance. I marked out and then connected it to the hip area like what I have done. Trousers length is 40 plus 2 inches as my seam allowance, making 42 inches. So I marked out 42 inches and then marked out 42 inches at the other side as well. Great. The next thing to do is to go ahead, connect it with my ruler, connect the point with my ruler, and then cut out to cut the back as well. So this is all I'll be having for the front trousers. Great. After cutting out the front, I'm about to cut the back. So the back crotch extension is 3 inches like what I am marking, and then to the waist area I extended it 2 inches. Okay, I made it 2.5. I then brought it straight down like this, and then curve a bit to the back crotch. Afterwards, I will raise the back up about 1 inch away from the waist area, and then slant it at the side, meeting the waist here, like what I have done. Okay, so I will then bring it down, meeting the hem, and the left interval of about 1.5 inches. So this is all I'll be having for the back. I'll then cut out. Okay, so at this point I'm about to cut the pocket. You cut the pocket in any wideness or how big you want it. I'll be cutting 2 of that is on fold. Afterwards I'll divide it into 2, making 4 pieces. Okay, so after cutting out, I'll then mark 2 inches downwards from the waist, the natural waist, and then notch. Okay, so after notching, I'll then place the pocket at the right side of both the front and then the back. Go ahead and then sew down 1/2 inch before sewing the side of the back and front together. So this is what I have after sewing down the pocket and then attaching the front and back pieces together. I'll then spread it into 2 like this, making sure the right side faces each other. I'll then go ahead and then shape it according to my client's measurement. Okay, so at the front area I'll be marking out 1 inch and then extend it downwards to the crotch area like this. Okay, so the waist measurement is 32 inches. Divided by 2 is 16, so I marked out 16 inches at the waist area. Okay, so I'm about to measure the hip area. No, I have to bring it down. No. Okay, so this is where the hip is. The hip is actually 42 inches, so that is 21. I'll then mark out where the hip ends and then shape it to the back crotch. So I'll come down from the waist about 12 inches. That will enable me fix the zip. So I'll only sew where the 12 inches ends to the back crotch and then sew down the front from the waist to the crotch area. Great, so this is what I have after sewing downwards. I'll then open it into 2 like this and then sew about 1 inch from the crotch area to the side of the trousers at both sides. Okay, great, so this is what I have after sewing down the thigh area and then finishing the hem of the trousers. The next thing to do is to go ahead and then cut my band, the waistband. I'll then measure all round the waist and then add allowance. Yes, I'll add sewing allowance. Okay, so the wideness of the band, how wide I want it, is like 1.5, so I'll be cutting out 2.5 wideness, and then the length is going to be the length of the waist. Okay, so after sewing 1/2 inch at both sides, I'll be left with like 1.5 wideness. Okay, so this is what I have after cutting out. So the next thing to do is to go ahead and then place the right side of the band onto the wrong side of the trousers like this, and then sew 1/2 inch all round. After sewing 1/2 inch all round, I'll then bring it to the right side, fold in about 1/2 inch and then top stitch all round. Great, so this is what I have after fixing the band. I'll go ahead and then fix the zip as well. Afterwards, our trousers is ready. Thank you all for watching my videos. This is the final look after fixing the zip. Please, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, kindly do so and then press the notification bell to notify you anytime I upload any video. See you all in our next video. Bye.